So I've got a question for you. How do you trick kids into learning about the human body and make it entertaining? Do you A, just tell them like it is and maybe add a few dad jokes for some levity? B, make a kid-friendly show with a host like Bill Nye the Science Guy? C, we make a rush hour buddy cop movie that's way more adult than you remember that eventually gets a TV show spin-off that takes place in another human body, which is kinda weird if you think about it too much. Or D, do you make an anime called Cells at Work but with more blood? And I mean like actual blood on the blood cells, which is weird if you think about it too much, but you know, that's neither here nor there. So clearly, after being given these amazing options, any movie director or TV show exec would select option B realistically. But we didn't get option B now, did we? No sir, we got the OG when it comes to fighting viruses, and I'm not talking Mega Man. The buddy cop show where you make white blood cells into cops, cold pills into partners, that turns every sneeze into a high-speed chase before Moderna, before Pfizer, before that third option that probably grew you another arm. We had the OG vaccines for illnesses that were unseen, from Frank to Hector, the inside protectors. I'm talking about Ozzy and Drix. And I'm Remy, and I just want to know if anyone's checked out Ozzy and Drix, because we really needed them in 2020, like, because if not, let's get into it. So where do we start this dive into our inner workings of, well, ourselves? Do we begin with self-reflection? Do we seek answers from a higher power? Or do we just look inwards? So I'm gonna cut this whole philosophical joke out. For this case, we are looking literally inwards into the workings of the human body, our own personal cities. And in this case, we're going to talk about the urban city, which, why is it urban? Whatever, of Frank and Hector. And yes, the name of the cities makes sense. We'll get into it eventually. So, from the main streets of the kidneys, where blood cells don't make it every day, I was going to do a Boys in the Hood joke. I'm not doing it. You're welcome. I saved you from the cringe. Anyway, and the reason they don't make it, well, is mostly because there's something keeping them down. And by something, I mean Twinkies and bad lifestyle choices. It's with this setting, we're introduced to Ozzy and Drix, our main characters. And for reference, I'm going to talk about the movie and the show, but just for right now, we're doing a little bit of both. When it comes to getting the full picture for this franchise, you have to start off with the movie Osmosis Jones. This is where the show initially takes part in before we get the spin-off series lovingly called Ozzy and Drix. Now, this wasn't your run-of-the-mill Saturday morning cartoon / movie spin-off. This was trying to be more. It was low-key one of the coolest way parents got their kids into learning about hygiene, disease, and how dangerous your own body can be if you don't take care of it. This show made it clear, if you don't brush your teeth, wash your hands, or eat right, there's gonna be a war inside of you, specifically a gang war. They really emphasize the urban aspects of this show. And 10 times out of 10, you're normally losing, mostly to a virus with dreads and a really hot finger, oddly specific, but you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Thrax, my guy, was definitely moving different for a 2000s villain. If you don't know what I'm talking about, what are you doing here? Go treat yourself to some good 2000 animation. And I'm talking like Sinbad, Treasure Planet good, not like Lion King 1.5, Little Mermaid 2, Atlantis 2, pretty much anything 2 and Disney in it. This should be considered the opposite. This is honestly some very good animation, high quality work, great voice acting even. Highly recommend this movie. And after you get done watching this movie, come back, like and subscribe so you can see my body of work next. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of another body joke, so this is what you got. Continuing. Because in case you maybe forgot, I don't know how you would, but in case you did, we did all kind of just live through a pandemic as a planet. A planet. And somehow, people literally forgot how germs work and had to relearn how to combat germs on a basic level. So when I said we could have used them in 2020, I'm just saying, if we got those boys on the case, we probably would have been done with COVID in like, how long is the movie again? This time. This is when COVID would have been done start to finish and we had the boys on the case. I'm just saying, unfortunately, they were not on the case and I got COVID multiple times during that. So, yeah. Instead of Ozzy and Drix, we had Cells at Work. So, you know, they were just a little different. You know, they're both white blood cell main characters. You know, you got Ozzy, then you got Cells at Work, then you got Ozzy, then you got Cells at Work, then you have Ozzy, and then you have Cells at Work. Man, you can definitely see the similarities between these two white blood cells. They're exactly the same. No, you just need new glasses. Trust me, they're the same. Okay, with all that setup done, let's get into the actual gut of this video. Have you ever watched a buddy cop movie and thought, this would be way better with white blood cells? Well, someone did. And by someone, I mean Peter Farley. Because in 2001, Warner Brothers dropped Osmosis Jones, a film that tried to mix body humor, body horror, biology class, and Lethal Weapon inside of Bill Murray's colon. And then eventually some random teenager named Hector. That being said, this wasn't a traditional movie. Honestly, it was more like a science experiment with fart jokes. Because kids love fart jokes. I don't get it, I don't get the science behind it, but it's kind of like a universal law or something. Under 6, fart jokes don't miss. So the movie Osmosis Jones was a little bit different. It was created by Mark Hyman, who also wrote the screenplay, directed by the Farley brothers, the live action, while the animated segments were directed by Pete and Tom. And speaking of the animated segments, when it comes to animated characters and voice actors, we got Chris Rock as Osmosis Jones, or, Ozzy. David Hyde as Drix, Lauren Fishburne as Thrax, my guy is pure nightmare fuel, killed that role. And William Shatner as Mel Fleming, you get it, cause mucus. Now when it comes to the live action segments, or the boring parts as I like to call them, we have people like this person and this person. And let's be honest here, we're not here for these two, we're here for Bill Murray, the guy. But to be honest with you, I feel like he was just here cause Space Jam did really well, and my man said, wait a second, if I did this once and it did good, let me do it twice and it'll probably do better. It didn't do better. For this movie, Bill played Frank, aka the walking human disaster zone. This man was nasty. I mean, just straight up nasty. This man ain't never heard of Germ-X a day in his life or a hot shower. Just a gross individual. And the way he ended up getting Thrax into his system, just a nasty, nasty man. Like, why would you eat that egg, dog? It's so gross. Please, treat yourself better. And speaking of better, I feel like I kind of have to talk about the soundtrack, which is definitely way different from what I remember as a kid. Looking at this soundtrack now is kind of crazy. They had Trick Daddy, Craig David, Ezekiel Lewis, Brandy, and R. Kelly. Yes, R. Kelly. Robert Kelly is on a soundtrack for a kid's movie. For some reason, I don't even understand what was going on back then. But you know what, whatever. Let's talk about the plot of this movie finally. We start off with our human Frank, who is basically a human landfill, and inside of him we have Ozzy, a reckless white blood cell cop. He teams up with Drix, a literal cold pill, to stop Thrax, a virus that is growing and gnawing and clawing and murdering his way up to the top of the ladder. Well, I guess not the ladder, but the mine in this case. With his goal in mind, to kill Frank in 48 hours and get into the medical history books. Hey, yo, somebody throw up a timer. Yeah, there you go. That's where you get the Die Hard reference. But in a body this time, with less logic and more boogers, because, kids. But even watching this as a kid, I had some questions, but watching it now, I have even more questions. How did Thrax even know about a medical history book? I want you to really think about this, right? How does a virus have a concept, a notion of what a medical history book even is? I need someone to explain the line of logic for this to make sense for me personally. Like, sure, I could give you the benefit of a doubt if he was an airborne virus and he was quote unquote traveling and maybe he went up to somebody's brain stem and somehow saw that memory, because there's a scene in this movie where he goes into Frank's subconscious and then maybe he learned it that way. But he was in a monkey cage. Like, Frank got Thrax from eating an egg that filled a monkey cage that was by a monkey and all the monkey germs. How does he know about a medical history book? I'm sorry, there's no way a random monkey in a zoo, which is like, yes, I'm Caesar. This is actually a Planet of the Apes spinoff. You didn't know that, but secretly, I'm the smartest monkey in the world. Thrax is actually what killed all the humans in the Planet of the Apes. Osmosis Jones, backdoor pilot for Planet of the Apes. You never knew what was happening. You see how dumb that sounds? You see how dumb that sounds? It's like if an ant left an anthill and then somehow went to a Little Caesars and somehow understood the concept of money. How would that even work? Yeah, I'm geeking. It's not that deep. I know it's not, but a part of me is just like, yo, but how does this work actually? I just have so many questions on how Frank actually works. Like, what is this man? He's literally built different. Like, actually built different. I just have so many questions that'll never get answered. And why is that, you ask? Well, because the movie actually didn't kill at the box office. I know I mentioned it earlier, but I wanted to bring it up again for this segment because, well, the parts that did bad did very bad, but the parts that people liked, the parts that people really liked, was all the animated sections. Go figure. Because of this, WB said, wait a second, let's make this a series. So in 2002, WB snatched the animated duo and spun them off into their own show, Ozzy and Drix, a cartoon that aired on the Kids WB until 2004. And instead of Chris Rock, we got Phil Lamar, my VA GOAT, to do Ozzy. And like always, Phil Lamar kills it at whatever he does in VA work. This man is so amazing. He deserves all of his flowers. Phil Lamar, just so cool. Such a cool guy. And for Drix, on the other hand, we had Jeff Bennett taking up the role. They got sucked out of Frank's body via a mosquito injected to a teenager named Hector. And yeah, it's weird how that works, but you know what? I'm not gonna question it. I'm gonna keep it pushing and stop thinking too hard about it. So this time, instead of gross out body humor and fart jokes, we got Saturday morning cartoon crime fighters in a high school body. The show was animated by Warner Brothers Animations, with rough drafts done in Korea, doing not just rough drafts but also the background and any other work that the main studio in the States couldn't do. The cast for the animated show included Alana Ubrak as Mayor Spyman, Taisha Valenza as Ellen Patella, followed up by Jim Cummings, who was literally everybody else in the show. With this, you had the new main cast and protectors of the city of Hector for the new show Ozzy Drix. This show tackled everything episodically, from viruses, bacteria, and puberty, in a way that kinda made sense but also didn't, because there's like certain scenes that like, wow, I can't believe this white blood cell to control my entire nervous system to beat up some bullies. It's regular things everyone's body can do. Yours can't do it. I'm sorry you didn't get the DLC for that, bro. You should have gotten that first flu shot back in the day. Oh, that's a wild joke. Okay. But at the end of the day, Ozzy Drix is what happens when you take Osmosis Jones and you scrub off that PG-13 movie rating for Saturday morning airtime. And honestly, you lose a little bit of the edge if you couldn't guess that. So let's talk about how they changed from the big screen all the way to your Saturday morning cartoon screen. So let's start with our main character, Ozzy. In the movie, Chris Rock's Ozzy was a little bit more foul-mouthed, reckless, and a chaotic good. In the show, Phil Lamar gave him the Saturday morning edge, still wild, but obviously kid safe. Next, we have Drix. For the movie, Drix was honestly portrayed more as robotic. When Drix got to the body, he was there for business and to go home. And he was about his business, but eventually towards the end of the movie, he lightens up and becomes quote-unquote more human. When it comes to Osmosis Jones, Jeff Bennett's Drix was honestly more of a straight man. He was well aware he was a part of a comedy duo and wasn't afraid to show it, which kinda defeated the whole robotic thing, but overall, the core of the character was still there, just a little bit different for TV. That being said, the duo still worked, just fewer death threats and more learning moments. And unfortunately, Thrax, my guy, does not come back for the animated series. I don't know why. It's a TV show. Just make him come back. Just make it the son of Thrax or something. Who cares? Throw him in there. He was cool. While there are other notable side characters like the mayor and Leah, they also don't make a return in the series. We have new characters like Spyman, and Kids WB wanted none of that romance stuff, so, you know, Leah gone. Goodbye, Brandy. You will be missed. And you know what won't be missed? Merch, because you probably never seen it. And if you have seen it, you probably don't remember what it looked like or what it did, because there is so little merch for this IP. It is insane. You would think the mega corporation known as Warner Brothers would, you know, want to milk this, but they didn't. There's no really big video game. There's no PlayStation tie-in. Well, we did get a GBA game called Ozzy Drix, super lazy name right there. And this game was released in 2003, but besides from that, there's really nothing else on this front. There's a couple of children's books, some Scholastic tie-in stuff, and probably a bunch of very rare lunch boxes with this, but like no action figures, no Happy Meal toys, no Funko Pops in 2024, 5, and probably 26. We can't even get a Funko Pop, bro. That is so criminal. The merch for this franchise practically non-existent. And that's a real shame, because Osmosis Jones wasn't a smash hit, but it was unforgettable. It found a second life on cable reruns in biology class film days. You know, the ones where they brought out the TV, the best days. And people like me's subconscious who never really forgot about it, but also didn't sing its praises enough as a kid. And when it comes to Ozzy Drix, the cartoon, it still holds up. Obviously not as great as Cells at Work, but you know what? Before the anime made it cool, before Inside Out made you really think about how you process emotions as an adult and a young teenager, we had Osmosis Jones throwing hands with viruses in somebody's colon, but with more butt jokes. And finally, what I teased earlier, why was R. Kelly on the soundtrack of a kid's biology movie? I don't know. That's it. I don't know. Why did he bring up America so many times in that song? I also don't know. How in the world did that Kid Rock song, Cool Daddy Cool, get cleared for this movie? Honestly, I don't know, man, because yo, whoever greenlit this song, you should lose your job, point blank, because the verse at 2:20 is actually criminal. I mean, like literally criminal. Like go to jail, throw away the key. That actually would explain why R. Kelly was on the soundtrack though. Regardless, if you couldn't tell, there's a lot of I don't know when it comes to this short-lived franchise. But what I do know, what I do remember, is that this was fun. This is honestly a really cool and interesting show, and honestly, I think it should come back. No, really, imagine Ozzy and Drix inside of a new host somehow, don't worry about how, inside of a Zoomer with a smartwatch and a caffeine addiction. And then you add modern problems like pandemic, PTSD, screen addiction, or burnout due to a bad lifestyle. You've got a reboot just waiting to happen. Just throw Netflix the premise and let them make some mediocre animation for it. But you know what? As long as we get it, I'm okay with some C-tier animation. I've seen Tower of God Season 2, Records of Ragnarok, and the beginning after the end, the Flash animation. It hurts me. But at the same time, I'd be happy to get more storytelling, but it does hurt like a lot. What they did to the beginning after the end is actually criminal, but this is not the video for that. No, this video is about Osmosis Jones. It's about a city inside of a body, about an undercity that's also inside of a body, about a cop inside of a body that's inside of everybody. Maybe it's not, because they don't really explain how that works. But it doesn't matter, because Osmosis Jones is a Russian nesting doll of stuff that is happening, I guess. And you know what I don't have to guess? That I'm Remy. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and everything else big YouTubers say at the end of videos. Thank you for letting me check on Ozzy and Drix. Hope you enjoyed me yapping for the last few minutes. See y'all next time. Y'all take it easy. Later. Yo, I kind of wonder what Molly would look like in Osmosis Jones. Like, if you popped a Molly pill, like what would that... Okay, I gotta go. Bye.